Hi there, my name is Cate Mackenzie and I am a sex and relationship therapist, and I'm here with you today to talk about how to create the space to create loving communication. So this is obviously a really big key in relationship with yourself, in relationship with others, in relationship with partners, in relationships with family, with children, with colleagues, neighbours. How do you do that? And so we're going to talk about ways to do that, how to slow down, how to pause. If you're in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, how you create the stages to reconnect. If you feel like the connection has gone off, if you become neutral to each other, and how you might manage other relationships better if possible. Obviously, sometimes it's not possible, in which case there's also a level of acceptance, but sometimes it is actually possible to bring in a different atmosphere, a different experience to happen for you. So, what we're going to talk about today is how you actually create that space. Now, initially, what you do is you create that space in you, because it's a huge amount of communication is sorry about that, I think I need a glass of water. So it's body language, tone and pace. So what does that mean? It means that we communicate a huge amount through how we are as a person, hi there, and how we come across. So we don't attract what we want, we attract who we are. You may have noticed this already, that when you're feeling relaxed, when you're feeling calm, then things flow a lot easier, flow a lot better. And thank you very much. I've got a lovely glass of water. Thank you. So a big key is, how are you treating you? How are you creating the pauses in your life? Hello there. Hi, Shanze. Hi, Annie. Lovely to see you. How are you slowing down for you? And are you slowing down for you? Perhaps you could get a weekly planner and look, am I slowing down? Am I relaxing? We need inputs, we need stimulus, we need things that we do, but we also need to reflect, to look, how are we living, and to see what's really important and what's urgent, so that we start to live from our own internal impulse. Because how we are, if we're living in a panic, is how we will then connect with others. And a huge key to connecting well with others is slowing down. So if we've speeded up, then it may seem like others are an irritant when they come near us, if we have too much on our plate. But if we've slowed down enough, if we have enough bandwidth, then it can be possible to allow and to connect with others, and to allow that spaciousness to come in. So what I teach as a couples counsellor, I teach attachment theory, noticing how people are around you, whether they are more of a pursuing type, more of a withdrawing type, whether they're more anxiously attached, where you might need to connect with them more immediately, whether they're more avoidantly attached, where they still need connection but you might need to give them some space. And so, hello there. Hi Nayar. So what we look at is how to create the best situation. So what we're going to do today is talk about that. So I teach something called bridging. And in bridging, what we do is we help people, before they communicate, to slow down, to relax, to calm, so that they feel willing and able, and actually in their heart, before they connect, before they communicate, before they talk. So what we want then is that they have an open prefrontal cortex, that they actually can be in their creative self, and they can ask for what they want, they can get in touch with their needs and their desires. So often what happens, what goes wrong often in relationships, is people are in what we call secondary emotions. This is from emotionally focused couples therapy. And they're in their secondary, they're in their reactive emotions, which might be avoiding, might be blaming, shaming, might be attacking. And what we want for good connection is people to be in a place of their primary emotions, which is much more vulnerable, which is about what they feel. When we know what other people feel, we have a chance to connect on a deeper level. But we need the conditions for that. And that's why it can be that if we get ourselves in the right space, we're much more able to then get into the right space with another person. So what you can do is, if you just look at your diary, look at your day, and just to see if there's ways to come back to your breath, ways to slow down, ways to come back to you. And if you're not sure how to do that, if you're not sure how to meditate or slow down or come back to you, you can find a lovely piece of writing that you enjoy, and you could pick a word or a sentence, and you could just say that word or that sentence for 5 minutes in your mind as you contemplate something that takes you to a more calm, peaceful and relaxed place. So that can be a way. Also, equally, are you doing any play? Are you doing any exercise? Have you had enough sleep? Are you feeding yourself well? So just really taking account of what your needs are. Are you resting regularly? Are you talking to people that support you in your life so that you feel supported? This will help you align. So if you get your practices in place, it will help you align. So before you need to connect with someone important, see if you can get yourself in the right place. You don't have to be perfect. The key is not that you're perfect, none of us are, is that you can be connected to you. Because if you're connected to you, you can tell your partner, friend, child, neighbour, compatriot, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to do that. I was feeling a little bit low, or yes, I'd love to do that, but not yet. When we're not feeling so good about ourselves, when we're not feeling so resourced, it can be tricky to open up those dialogues. Again, if you're feeling also that you have people you resent in your life, people that have been really difficult in your life, then it can be really helpful as well to write letters that you do not send, that you write all the stuff out so that it's out of your system, it's out of you. So you don't have to bring that to them, but you can also honour it and release it. And also, if you're in a partnership and you feel like maybe it's lockdown, maybe you've been together too much, maybe it's feeling very numb between you, and you'd like ways, hello everybody, lovely to see you. If you'd like ways to really warm that up again, then there's a lovely sex therapist called Barry McCarthy, and he talks about the 7 Gearsticks. And that if couples are feeling like they're not sexually intimate or emotionally intimate, and they'd like to be, then to think of Gearsticks. So Gearstick 1, 2 would be affection. That would be, hi, how are you? How are you feeling? What's happening for you? Maybe some cuddles. Hi there. Maybe some warmth. Just really connecting in, really allowing, really being soothing. And that, he says, should be daily in a primary relationship. Ideally, the affection should be daily. So if you're feeling like it's gone from your relationship, you might want to open up appreciations, warmth, connections, saying hi, how are you, hugs. Then, if you feel, hello, all lovely people from all around the world, thank you, yes, we'll talk about family, that would be really good, thank you for that. So if you feel like, so that's 1, 2 is affection, daily affection. And you can do this also with your neighbours or with family or with children, making sure you're saying, hi, how are you feeling? Or when you did that, it was really great because it made me feel so helped. When you brought me some water, I felt so supported. Really specific appreciation is a gift. Non-specific appreciation, like just saying you're wonderful, unfortunately doesn't mean anything to people. So we need to make it very specific. What are you thanking someone for them to be able to receive it? So 1, 2 is affection. That's what you really want to give. Daily affection. And maybe you can do that with friends, with children, with compatriots, with people around you. Especially if you want to warm up the space, then you would give this kind of affection. But if you're in a primary partnership and you feel like you're not connecting so much, you really want to do that. You really want to talk about how they are, how they feel. Hello, all these lovely people from around the world. Hello. So what you also want to do is Gearstick 3-4 would be flirting. That would be telling them compliments, telling them appreciations, maybe a sensual hug, maybe getting closer. You would go to Gearstick 5-6, that would be getting more naked, and Gearstick 7 would be going towards intercourse, but you wouldn't go straight to there. So if you're feeling like you're disconnected, you would make sure that you're building up the affection and the warmth first before you would be going up the rest of the gear sticks. So the same it is with and I imagine, somebody's asked, is it with animals too? And I imagine, yes, animals also, I would imagine, like to feel safe and want affection. They also, if you've not been giving as we know, people and animals really suffer if they haven't had any affection or if they get too lonely. Lovely to see you all, thank you. So it's very important, this level of affection, starting with yourself. There's this beautiful man who's created this thing called the Miracle Morning, which is the idea of meditating, appreciating yourself, giving yourself affirmations, writing, and doing some exercise, some kind of movement that gets you opened up, that gets you feeling good. It's natural that people can have negative thoughts or have worries or things that take them out of their heart. So giving yourself a way to come back into your really lovely heart, giving yourself a way to feel connected is a very good idea. Now, family, what can happen in families is that people get given roles. So she's an artist, he's always good at doing, he's the carer, she's the helper, he's the scapegoat, that they're the black sheep. They get given these roles and told that they're this and they're told that they're that. And it's very important that you don't let yourself be subscribed to a role. It's very important that you find the freedom to be you. And that again is about building yourself up, and when you go into family situations, making sure that you feel supported, you feel safe, and you have your practices or people you can reach out to. And one way to do that is to meet people face to face or a phone call where you start to create equality. So instead of going into the family situation where it's a group, and in the group sometimes roles can get set, start to create connections based on, maybe it's a talk on the phone, maybe it's a one-to-one online, ultimately maybe at some point meeting people face to face, or depending where you're at in this situation we're in at the world at the moment, maybe in social distancing. Because if you can build connections that feel equal, the space can open up. So again, when you're with people, listen to them, making sure that you're validating them, telling them they make sense if they do make sense. And listening is a really big part of creating a really good space. So it's important that you really listen, and we can learn to listen well. One, you can actually say back to people what you've heard. So if I'm with you, what you've said is this, and they can correct you, because so often what goes wrong in relationships is we didn't hear the person, which is another key why relaxing is so important. If you can relax into your good heart and connect to your loving heart and breathe and come back to you and the purity of who you really are, and then connect and then listen and then say, so if I'm with you, what you're saying is that, if I take one of the people here, you'd like more education about this. If I'm with you, you'd like more education about this, and that would be helpful to you. So then they can say, oh yes, I did mean that, or actually, you were on the line there, but actually what I really want is more loving listening. So if I'm with you, what you're saying is you want more loving listening. Yes. And you can see with all these changes that are happening in the world, with all the different things we're discussing in the world currently, with this pandemic and with racism, with transphobia, with all the different things that are coming up at the moment about how people have been othered, people have been treated as different for millennia, and how now this is being talked about, and how there's an opportunity for us all to listen to each other about how people have been made to feel different or othered, or not felt able to talk about that, not felt able to talk about different. Sometimes in some cultures there's not such a culture of family, so they have the culture of individual, where there can be benefits but also losses because they can feel lonely, like they would like more family. And in some cultures there's a big culture of family, but then the feeling that being an individual is not as important as the family. And ideally we want both, and we want a sense of community, but community that feels really supportive to you, and we want a sense of being ourselves. We need others. We really do. So how do we do that? How do we make sure we can set our boundaries so we don't let ourselves be treated in a way that doesn't feel right for us? And how can we also engage with others and slow down and listen? If you're in a partnership, my suggestion is that you give daily appreciations to your partner. As you get practiced, it can build. And if you're in a family and you feel like you can, then give appreciations to your family members if that feels right for you. My suggestion would be that you create meetings. So this could be also, if you feel like okay to, with family members or with friends, where you create a setup which is really loving and kind, but it's a place where you can talk about things, and you would create the right atmosphere first. You might get yourself into a nice atmosphere. You might light a candle, you might create a nice atmosphere. So you're not going to go straight into the deepest topic, because many of us need preparing to open that doorway up. Somebody's asked, speaking about marriage. So committed relationship takes a lot of work to be in that space, but any relationships do. Can be your next door neighbour. It easily things can go wrong when people miss each other or don't attend to the relationship. But yes, if you're in a committed relationship, if you're living with someone, then it's very important to develop ways of communicating. And if in the model of attachment theory, some people are very open to communicating, to opening up their emotions, their heart, and speaking about them, speaking about their feelings. They really want to do that. And some people are not so comfortable with that. So for some people, they feel like they're swimming in the ocean, and some people feel like they're going to drown if you said, can we have a deep chat? And so it's really, when you're creating the space, you want it to be, what do we feel? What do you feel? What do I feel? What would you like to talk about? What would I like to talk about? So that you start to create a more equal space. It's not one person telling the other one what to do, because often that's what goes wrong in relationships. If one person feels they are being ticked off, told off, used, abused, they may just not want to connect, not want to create those meetings. As someone's asked about toxic relationships, And you're absolutely right. It's very important to take care of yourself. It's very important to have boundaries. And in that case, it's very important to have support to talk through whether you feel something is toxic, and to reach out. I'm in the UK, and there are a lot of supportive networks here, from the Samaritans to many, there's Marriage Care, which is a low-cost couple counselling service, and I imagine around the world there may well be low cost, or if you can afford it, you can pay for some professional services. In this country there's a lot of things that are free, so I don't know what there is all around the world, but it can be worth really looking out for like-minded groups, like-minded people, and books to really get advice if something is toxic. If you're in a relationship, then it's really worth exploring getting support. I do believe if you're in a couple, you need a community. You need a lot of support, because there's so much to live together, to manage your lives. If you have children, or you have animals, or you have jobs or businesses, or whatever you have, there's so much to manage, and that can be difficult then to create the time to come together. So it's very, and then one person could get desperate and the other one could feel like running away. In that situation, it's very, very important to try and find the spaces. And if you feel like you need the courage to do that, then it can be good to have support, good to get friends or professional support to really help you. Often in certain communities there would be elders, or if you're in a religious community, there would be elders in that religious community who would support people around relationships. And in the modern era, maybe you have it in your cultures, but in some cultures now there isn't so much of that, but there are professionals, and there are professional organisations, and there are lots of things online. So the key here today, which I'm really talking about, is what are you creating in your own life? What practices are you creating to slow down and to soften, so that the ocean between you feels like an ocean of love? It doesn't feel like it's going to be something to drown in. And sometimes the toxic atmosphere between a couple can be because they're in this dance of the distance, the pursuer, or the pursuer withdrawer, or in my world we call the octopus reaching and the turtle closing off, or it could be a mixture of those things. So it's when the dance is pretty bad, which is attack or attack withdraw, or who's the bad guy dance, or the protest polka. If you didn't do this, if you didn't do that, then this wouldn't be right, this wouldn't be wrong. Or the snapping turtle defending themselves. No, I didn't do this because you didn't do that. If you feel like there's any kind of that going on, then it can be possible to start to slow down and attune to allowing people. Thank you very much. There's been resources being shared. Thank you so much. Allowing people to attune and hear. So if you find someone's defending themselves around you, they've got feelings going on. Something is happening. And if you're feeling like you're wanting to protest and you're feeling upset, or you've given up protesting and you've just given up, you've got feelings going on. And it may be both of you've got a lot of feelings going on. It's how are you supported to come to the table to talk about these feelings, to talk about what's going on. Because as you probably know, once people can talk, a huge amount changes. Now, of course, you also need to find out, are you both willing? And that includes either with a family member or a friend or a neighbour, or an in-law, or any kind of situations. Is there some willingness? Even if one of you doesn't find it easy to open up, is there some willingness? Is there a possibility to grow? In my experience, if there is, then things can change, things can happen, but there need to be some agreements. And you also need to make sure that you're not in a situation that is violent or really, really abusive. You need to make sure that you feel safe. And so make sure you check in with your compatriots. A woman I know, when she got married for the third time, she knew that she'd made bad choices. So when she started dating the third person, she engaged her 6 female friends to help her, to guide her. She checked in with them all the way through to make sure that she was going to make the right decision. And when she decided, yes, this is the right person for me, and they both decided that, they actually also made some arrangements about how they handled difficult feelings. Anger is actually an important part of life. You know, anger gets us to set boundaries. Anger gets us to get out of bed and do things, you know, used in the right way. But anger can also, one person can suppress it and affect their health, and one person might explode with it. So they also discussed how they were going to hold anger, how they were going to manage it in their relationship, because she was someone who didn't express it much and he was someone who expressed it a lot. And so they made their agreements and their arrangements so that they could both feel safe. They could both feel safe to be themselves. And they also decided to live in a place with other people. So not as a polyamorous relationship, but as 2 couples living in a big house, because they realised that it was helpful for them to live in community. So a lot of this about creating safety, creating the right space, is about taking it one step at a time. Really gentle baby steps. If you feel like your marriage or your partnership or the connections you're in, if you feel like something is not quite working, whether it could be like you're in a polyamorous relationship or a committed monogamous relationship, whatever you're in, or whether it's with another person, family or neighbour, take it one step at a time. Sometimes we have to have a break. That's what people do. Sometimes people have to put a boundary down just for some time while they reassess, while they get themselves together. That can be very, very important. You have to check in what's right for you. But if you do feel you want to go towards someone and you do feel able to connect with them, then a big key is to really slow yourself down, to pause, to take some time. Write out the letters that you don't send with all the stuff that you feel. Release and keep releasing that stuff. It really helps. The more and more you write out and then get rid of those letters, it can really help to let go of stuff. And then check in, what do I need to share? What's really important? What do I really need to say to this person? What do I really want them to hear? If you're someone who really likes emotional communication, but your partner's not like that, it may well be that you need to say to them, dear love, would you be prepared to listen to me and ask me questions? Sometimes you have one person in the partnership who is the person who asks questions, who opens the emotional realm up. But then they feel like no one's asking me questions. So in this work, what we do is we want to honour what different people need. The withdrawing person may just want to watch a film, go for a walk, not have anything too emotional. But the pursuing person may really want something emotionally connected. And as you know, some relationships, they can actually go on and not have emotions mentioned. And some people can be happy with that. And some people would not be happy with that. So it's really finding out who you are, what you are, starting to attend to your needs, really loving you, and giving yourself daily loving. The key with so much of this is really, really, really loving you. Because then you're much steadier to go towards another person and allow them to hear you from a place that's more steady. So if you feel willing to look in the mirror each day and tell yourself you love yourself, if that feels possible. If you can do nice things for yourself, like have your shower and then buy some really nice cream or oil and put that on your skin, and when you do it, really attend to yourself and give yourself that loving experience. If you can think, well, what would be fun for me? If you can listen to a meditation, I've put a heart meditation on this live if you want to listen to one, and start to listen to your heart about what do you want, what do you need. It might be a bike ride, it might be connecting with a friend, something playful. Once we get back into play, we open up the doorways to our heart. And it's so lovely. Someone said, yeah, my husband is like that. Can't speak about deep feelings. It's hard for me, but I feel his love. So this is the thing about, that's beautiful, is that often we have, it's very natural, is a natural affinity that you get one person who really loves talking feelings with another one who doesn't. It's a natural thing. And it's partly because we're drawn to people who mirror the best and the worst of our caregivers, and we're drawn to people who with certain potential, with certain growth, we can start to heal together, because actually the withdrawing person, the turtle person, is longing to be met deep down, but in the way that's right for them. And the more octopus, more pursuing person is longing to be heard, longing to be met, hasn't been heard enough. So with some understanding of your differences, understanding you are not the same, but often there is so much love, you can find ways to attune to each other. And a lot of this is about creating the space that feels equal, accessible, with not one person telling the other one what to do and the other one not withdrawing, not going away. So it's quite a thing. How do you get two people together to open up together gently? It's quite a thing. But it's, oh, that's nice. That's so nice. Thank you very much, Sarah, talking about play, scooting with her boyfriend. So play is a really, really big key. Really, really important to play together. And when you're creating this space, my suggestion is that you create a nice meeting, is that you create a sense of fun. You create a sense of sweetness together. So my suggestion would be that you really make sure you've got people who open up and help you, people you can check in with about whether you feel it's too toxic, or how do you set boundaries. Miracles can happen if people can set boundaries. They may not like it at first, a bit like taking a remedy. Sometimes you feel worse before you feel better. But if you can set boundaries safely, if somebody's been codependently taking care of everything, then the other partner may have just got used to that. So when one partner changes and says, I'm not going to do that anymore, there may be a small argument about that. But if you can bear it and stay with it, it can change, and you can become more of a team. And my suggestion is that you are gentle, gentle, gentle with yourselves. That's my suggestion. That you take this very, very gently, very, very slowly, because you've both got these dear inner child parts who need loving. And as those inner child parts are given love, so much can change. Because so much, if our inner child or our inner children are not given voices or given enough play, they feel upset. And that's the parts of us often that can sabotage or get angry or have a tantrum or feel they can't say yes or can't say no. But when we give love to those inner child parts and play, a lot can change. So I'm going to keep doing these lives once a month, all about relationships, all about the space, all about how to connect, how to come into attunement with each other. And So it's been lovely. Thank you very much. So many people from all around the world and from the UK, so much sharing, and I really appreciate you all. And I hope that I have given you something that is useful, and you're very welcome to send me questions if you want to. And yeah, lovely to be with you. I have put some meditations on the live, on the words on the live if you want to tune in with meditations. And I also am running a closed group in September, 4 weeks, middle of September to middle of October, on a Monday night, 8 till 10 UK time, which will teach you how to create the space, how to communicate. And it's for individuals or pairs, or any kind of pair, or any kind of individual. If you're an individual, you be paired with someone else if you want to learn these methods, if you want to learn how to create the space. It's like any practice. We keep learning how to create it with ourselves, and then how to create it with another. And in my experience, once people know how to be in that ocean of love, that's where they want to live. But like many of us, we may not have learnt that, we may not have witnessed it, and so it can take a bit of practice. How do we get into that? How do we open the doorway to that? And so if you want to learn about this, really happy to share with you, and I will keep doing videos on this, and I have a Facebook page and a Facebook group and other places that I share videos. So very welcome to stay in touch with me, and I will keep sharing, and lovely to be with you all. Thank you so much for being with me. Wishing you a really lovely day and lots of sacredness in the spaces with your relationships. Thank you.